Should a 16-year-old couple be charged with distributing child pornography for exchanging nude photos of each other? North Carolina prosecutors think so. Now 17-year-old Cormega Kopening faces felony charges and the possibility of lifetime sex offender status. He's being charged as an adult. His girlfriend pled to a lesser charge. Lest you think this is an oddity of North Carolina law, minors here can be prosecuted for the same crime. So yet another thing to warn your kids about. Why are nude photo exchanges between consenting minors treated the same as adult exchange of child pornography? With us is William Weinberg, attorney based in Irvine who specializes in criminal and juvenile defense. Mr. Weinberg, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure, Larry.
So at least technically, this case could be treated similarly in California?
Yeah, there is authority under the Penal Code to charge them as an adult, both minors as adults, although it's an extremely rare occurrence here.
And what's your sense of the justification in crafting these laws to treat 16-year-old teenagers exchanging nude photos as though they're adults sharing child pornography?
My sense is the genesis of it is rooted in the republication of the images, which has a parallel in some of the things we see regarding distribution of pornographic videos, sort of as a hate crime, where you've got somebody sending an image to a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and that being redistributed, and that's where you see these prosecutions generate from. Generally, minor to minor, where it's private and not redistributed, you don't see this kind of thing.
Got to feel terrible for the mother of the boy here, because apparently police were looking at some other concern about a kid at the school and thought there might be some evidence on the young man's phone, and so asked the mother for it. It was under her account. She gave the phone, and that's how they found these photos. It was a totally unrelated case they were looking into.
Oh, I know. It's such a terrible coincidence, and not uncommon one. Usually what happens is the circle comes back to the mother or father because of the redistribution, and then a telephone call is made between parents, and then the discovery, and then law enforcement gets involved. It's terrible for this young man. I mean, he's being treated differently and unfairly. And even the prosecutors, if you read the story, seem like their hands are tied, or they act as if their hands are tied by the statute and say, well, there's a solution to this. We just need to amend the statute. Well, in actuality, what they could do is simply not prosecute.
Yeah, what happened to prosecutorial discretion?
Well, that's right. And in fact, in California, and particularly here in Orange County, the probation department has taken the lead in handling a lot of these matters sort of extrajudicially by meeting with minors and their families outside the system and trying to intervene and help the teens make good choices without having to subject them to the scrutiny and the embarrassment of a juvenile prosecution.
How could the law be amended in California to protect kids who are being exploited, but also to treat these kinds of cases differently?
Well, it wouldn't be too difficult. First of all, I would hope that the probation departments across California, across the United States, find a way to intervene and educate. And in fact, just parenthetically, LA County is now doing a large-scale education program this fall on sexting through the school district, LA Unified. There are statutes that, well, as an example, in California, there's a code section that is what's known as a wobbler. It can file charges as a misdemeanor instead of a felony, and so the penalties would be much less severe. They could amend the statute to allow for a prosecution that does not require sex registration, another, if you'll pardon the pun, obscene outcome of these cases. Making a minor like this young man boy in North Carolina register as a sex offender for the rest of his life is just terrible.
We're talking with William Wenberg, who is a criminal and juvenile defense attorney based in Irvine. One of his areas of expertise is sexting between minors. We're talking about the North Carolina case where a 17-year-old is being charged as an adult for a year prior exchanging nude photos with his girlfriend. Both were 16 at the time. He faces the possibility of registering for life as a sex offender. We're at 866-893-KPCC or the Air Talk page, kpcc.org. Do you think this is an appropriate prosecution or not for someone in this circumstance? 866-893-KPCC. Also with us from the University of Miami School of Law, Marianne Franks, who's associate professor there. Professor Franks, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
How commonly do cases like this play out in different states?
Well, we're certainly seeing an uptick in the last few years of these types of prosecutions. It's hard to get a handle on the exact number, but it seems as though it is becoming an unfortunate trend.
And when they get publicity like this, it hasn't led to any legislative action to try and cope with public concern over these prosecutions?
I believe there have been some attempts. The problem is that it's not particularly politically popular to seem as though you're trying to be softer on child pornography. And so it's a very delicate type of issue to manage and very difficult to communicate effectively to the public.
So that's why we typically see only stronger laws against sex crimes. We almost never see it go in the opposite direction.
That seems to be the case. People tend to conflate their discomfort or concern over truly disturbing acts that involve sexuality with the types of sexual activity that we maybe shouldn't be so concerned with. It's hard for people to draw the lines between their sense of discomfort with teens having sex versus some serious coercion or exploitation, which is what we really properly should be focused on.
Love to hear from parents. Maybe you've had the circumstance of finding out that your teenager has exchanged nude or sexually explicit photos with someone in their peer group. You know, how did you deal with that? What are your thoughts about how or whether the law should deal with those kinds of exchanges? And of course, it's a whole different matter if you've got the forwarding of those images, which sadly often happens to other individuals. I believe in this case, you're just looking at the two parties involved, girlfriend and boyfriend, who did the exchange with each other, not the third parties. 866-893-KPCC or the Air Talk page, kpcc.org. And again, the girl in the case accepted a plea deal in this. William Weinberg, do you know what kind of punishment she got out of this?
Well, it would be impossible to know because of privacy laws for minors in criminal prosecutions. I would imagine probably some type of deferred judgment where she might have to do some community service and counseling and then have the matter resolved maybe as a dismissal. I would seriously doubt that she would have to register as a sex offender. I think that matter that would have become known to the public had that been the case. Okay.
And again, the sex offender registry, that's just anyone who's convicted of a sex crime like this has to register, and there are no exceptions?
It's a laundry list. You know, if you're convicted of a particular set of crimes, you have to register every year on your birthday at the police department in the town where you reside for the rest of your life.
866-893-KPCC or the Air Talk page, kpcc.org. And if you're a parent, you've had the experience of finding out that your child was sending sexually explicit or nude images with a boyfriend or girlfriend, were you concerned that this could end up in the criminal justice system, that it could be criminalized what your teen was involved with? You can share that with us, kpcc.org. Or if you'd prefer, don't want your voice to come on the air, you could write it on the Air Talk page, kpcc.org, and let us know your thoughts about it. Marianne Franks, how many of these laws are fairly recent ones because of, the digital world in which we learn a lot of these responses to that?
Actually, no. The majority of the child pornography and exploitation laws we're looking at are pretty old at this point. The laws have not really changed as much as maybe they should have, according to new technology. There have been some new laws that have emerged that are specific to sexting, as it's often called. So Florida, among other states, has specific rules about the transmission of certain images. But the child pornography laws have been around for some time.
Okay. And, of course, what's different in the past, I mean, typically someone else would have to take the photo of the minor. In this case, we're talking about exchanging selfies. So it's the person, him or herself, that's putting this image forward to someone they have chosen to share it with. So, William Weinberg, at least to me, that seems totally different kind of thing than where someone is being photographed by another person.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Larry. I think what we could do if we really wanted to circumscribe this is to focus on the redistribution, the non-consensual redistribution of this, whether for sport or out of anger or vengeance. I think that would be a great place to start in terms of amending the statutes. I mean, it would be very easy in California under Penal Code Section 288 and the subsections within there simply to modify them to reflect minor and minor being involved. But really, I think the bigger picture here is that what we need is education, and LA Unified is taking a lead on this. Let's educate the kids, teach them to have self-respect, and to use these devices with good judgment that just comes with life experience.
I want to thank you both for being with us. That's William Weinberg, a criminal and juvenile defense attorney based in Irvine who deals with sexting between minors in some criminal cases. Marianne Franks at University of Miami School of Law, associate professor there, and is the legislative and tech policy director of the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative at University of Miami. Thank you for being with us very much. You can share your comments about this prosecution in North Carolina of the now 17-year-old teen who is accused of transmitting child pornography because of an exchange of nude photos between he and his girlfriend, both of them 16 at the time. Coming up, we'll talk with the author of Sex and the Office, Women, Men, and the Sex Partition That's Dividing the Workplace. Kim Elsesser with us on Air Talk after an update from Hetty Lynn Erdes.